Hey, we are going to get into God's promises to the tempted. This will probably end up being a two-part video here. What is temptation, or what does it mean to be tempted? Have you ever actually thought about it? I know that we always view it as something bad. Usually it is, but not always. What does it mean to be tempted? Well, let's look at our definition. Temptation, a craving or desire for something, especially something thought wrong. The enticing of desire or craving in somebody. Something that or somebody who tempts somebody. The word tempt is to cause desire or craving to arise in somebody. To persuade or attempt to persuade somebody to do something considered wrong. To invite or attract somebody. To risk the possible destructive powers of something. Those were our English, the definitions for our English words, temptation and tempt. But when we get into the Greek, we'll get a little bit better understanding. Temptation in the Greek, and in your Strong's Concordance, the number is 3986. A putting to proof, either by experiment of good or experience of evil. Adversity. Adversity is hardship and suffering, an extremely unfavorable experience or event. The word tempt is number 3984, means to test, that is, endeavor, scrutinize, entice, discipline. And some English words we have that this particular word has been translated into are assay, examine, go about, prove, tempt, tempter, and try. Now those words there, assay, examine, go about, prove, and try, they all have basically the same meaning. And we've discovered that there are three types of temptation. We have temptations from the flesh, or our carnal mind, and those are what I call inside-out temptations or internal temptations. That's the first kind of temptation. The second type of temptation would be temptations that are outside in. External temptations. Those would be satanic temptations. Third kind of temptation would be, and I don't even know that you could call this a temptation, would be tests from God, which those words assay, examine, prove, try basically mean to test. All right. Three types of temptations. We have our internal, which would be our flesh. We have external, which would be satanic, and we have tests from God. So let's go over some examples of internal or inside-out temptations. Cheating. Cheating would be an internal temptation. And it doesn't have to be even a terrible type of cheating. Let's say we're dieting. We may be tempted to cheat on our diet with a cookie. That would be an internal temptation. Or think about a kid in school getting ready to take a test. They may be tempted to cheat. That could be an internal temptation. What if you're playing a board game or playing a game of cards? We could be tempted to cheat at that game. Not only, marital cheating or cheating somebody out of their money. There's different ways that we can cheat, and that would be considered an internal temptation. Another internal temptation could be disobedience. God has told us to do something, and we are tempted to not do it. That would be a type of internal temptation. Unbelief and doubt. That would be an internal temptation if we're tempted to not believe God or to doubt His Word. Laziness. That can be an internal temptation, laziness. I suffer with that one some myself. Anger. I used to have a real problem with anger. God's working on me. It's not quite as bad as it was, but that is an internal temptation. Pretty much any work of the flesh that's found in Galatians 5 and 19 through 23. Excuse me. I have temptation cards printed up, and I will provide a link in the description that you can download these and print them off. And what it is on the front it lists promises to the tempted, the scriptures, the 3 types of temptation. On the back it actually lists the works of the flesh and the fruit of the Spirit. Works of the flesh are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, and revelings. Any temptation of the flesh is a weapon that Satan can use against us. Any of these works of the flesh would be a internal temptation that Satan could use against us. Okay, our next type of temptation is the external temptations, the outside-in temptations, the satanic temptations. And the adversity that we could experience. Let's go back to that definition for just a second. Adversity, hardship and suffering, an extremely unfavorable experience or event. Some of the attacks or adversity that can come at us from the outside, externally, satanic temptations, spiritually, physically. Get the flu, a horrible case of the flu. And that is such a physical attack. Ugh. Anyway, mentally, Satan's popping them crazy thoughts into our mind all day long. All day long we're being attacked mentally. That's why we should always have on our shield of faith and our helmet of salvation. Emotionally, I firmly believe in evil spirits. I believe there is an evil spirit of depression that can absolutely come against us. I think, now we're not getting into spiritual warfare here, but I also think that there is a spirit of anger, and the internal and external temptations can and usually are connected. But another way he can attack is financially, have a financial problem, financial distress. Nationally, national disasters. Those are external temptations. Those are external things that happen. And with each external temptation, there will always come an internal temptation. Anytime Satan attacks one of these areas, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, nationally, whatever is outside of us, anytime he attacks from outside and comes against us, there is going to be an internal temptation rise up also. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. Genesis chapter 3, 1 through 6. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Now question, this temptation here that Eve was going through, Did it begin internally or externally? It began externally. It was something outside of Eve that came and tempted her. It was the serpent. It was Satan himself. Came from the outside externally and tempted Eve. But then what happened? Well, then that made an internal temptation rise up in her. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. She was internally tempted at this point. It started externally, and then the internal temptation came up. And she, of course, gave in to that. So any external temptation is always going to have some, possibly more than one, internal temptation with it. And any internal temptation that we have, we can be tempted of something internally and Satan not have a thing in the world to do with it. But even when that happens, any temptation, internal, fleshly temptation we have inside of ourselves is a weapon that Satan can use against us. Okay. Now, tests or trials from God. God will never try to get us to do something wrong. Never. God gives us the opportunity to do something right. Hence the reason for the test. Why do we give tests? Think about it. In school, why do children have to take tests? It's to prove they have learned something, right? Excuse me. You go to take a driver's test. You have to prove your knowledge of the law to drive, right? You know, a kid is in, well, we'll take Cade. He's in geometry. Periodically, he has to take a test, usually about once a week, to see if he has learned what they're teaching in geometry, to see if he's retained the knowledge, okay? And we are put through tests also to see what we've learned, if we're able to do what we're supposed to do. Now, what are some types of tests from God? And I don't know if we've actually thought about this in this way. But God could absolutely test us with prosperity and blessing. When we're in the valley, we will call out to God just like that. We'll cry out to Him. But when we're on top of the mountain, when things are going our way, that is usually when God is forgotten. It happens all the time. It happened with, the children of Israel. I personally believe it's happened with our country. I have seen it happen in my own life, and I've seen it happen in the lives of people around me. When we're on top of the mountain, when the blessing has come, and we see the prosperity manifest, and we're on top of that mountain, chances are we will be tempted to forget God. That can actually be a type of test from God to see if we will. Now, when God tests us, it's not for His benefit, it's for our benefit. That really tests and tries and proves what's in our heart so that we can see what's in there. Sometimes we think we know what's in there, but we don't actually know until we're tested. A test from God could have to do with patience, to see if we can show the fruit of patience. Faith, absolutely faith, because we have to believe. All these promises that we're talking about, even salvation itself, boils down to believe. You have to believe. You have to believe. So our faith is going to be tested above and beyond anything else that we could possibly go through, is our faith. Our faith has to be strong. It has to be sure. And God will test it often. Example of test would be the opportunity to try something new or change. I love Shane so much, but he hates change, and he'll tell you he hates change. I think we all do to a certain degree, But we can't get so comfortable in where we are that we are afraid to ever try anything new. We'll miss the will of God doing that. And we can't be so afraid of change that we will use the phrase waiting on God in a wrong way. Waiting on God is a study for another time, though. A lot of God's tests will deal with the fruit of the Spirit, and that's in Galatians 5:22 and 23. Again, it's on the back of this card. Fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. And when He tests us, this is to test or prove our fruit of the Spirit, and it's for our benefit, not His. If I can't see any fruit in the area of patience, God is liable to test me in that area to show me that I do have that, to show me that I can bear that fruit. God will never try to get us to do something wrong. I have heard people say the most idiotic things. Well, God tempted me with some kind of crazy sin, and I'm like, no, He didn't. No, He didn't. God's not going to do that. He's good. He loves you. Now, He will test you and give you the opportunity to act right, to show what you've learned, to show the fruit of the Spirit, but He's not going to try to get you to sin. That is crazy. Why would God's not going to do that. That's crazy. We have an enemy that does that. Actually, we have two enemies, one outside and one in here. Flesh, Satan. Okay, well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up today. And the next one, we will get into the actual promises for the tempted. But we needed to go over and find out what it was to be tempted and see that there's 3 types of temptation. But you have a wonderful day. Keep on keeping on for Jesus. God bless you.